They're laying down the law with former college player and coach Steve Foster and former All-Pro NFL quarterback Jeff Blake.
Young Hov, y'all know when the flow is loco. Young B and the ROC. OG, big homie, the one and only. Stick bony, but the pockets is fat like Tony. Soprano, the rock handle like Ben Exel. I shake phonies, man, you can't get next to. The genuine article, I do not sing though. I sling though.
We are back.
That's sweet, dude, when you can have a song with your name in it with Beyonce and Jay-Z. It's not the fact that Jay is rapping it and then he says your name, but Beyonce is in that song too. So she had to know about you as well.
Right.
Because she probably said, Van Exel, who's that? And then Jay had to explain to her who Van Exel was.
Right.
You know, so. And that's a name that, you know, that only connected to him.
Right.
You know, there's no Van Exels just walking around.
There was Van Helsing. That was a movie, Van Helsing or something like that. But Van Exel, no, there was just.
It's only one.
There's only one.
That's it.
I know. That's kind of crazy. But, you know. And you caught up with him in Cincinnati.
Yeah, of course. You know, we always bumping each other. You know, all the UC Bearcat basketball players always would come back through Cincinnati.
That's why you said you knew Huggins.
Yeah, I'm good friends with Bob Huggins.
He's in West Virginia.
Yeah, and he was the head coach for University of Cincinnati. And we all would hang out and go out to eat, and you always bump into him at restaurants. So I always see Nick Kenyon Martin, all of them. Danny, Danny
Fortson,
Danny Fortson, all those cats. You see them all the time.
He got a pretty good recruiting deal. I mean, he had.
Somehow Bob Huggins did a great job recruiting at University of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And I always kept them in the thick of things. They were always in the tournament every year and kept them in the thick of things. You know?
All right, Jeff Blake, well, go ahead and introduce your man from Cincinnati.
This is our man, Nick Van Exel. How's it going, Nick?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah. Blake said, yeah, man, he hung out with Coach Huggins and Nick and everybody.
I was always bumping into him in Cincinnati every once in a while.
Yeah. With James Francis, my friend.
Yep. With Big Cat. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
we were admiring the fact because we did the intro, we did Crazy in Love, and we said you got to be a bad man to have. Go ahead. What did you say, Blake?
They have Jay-Z and Beyonce. Well, have Jay-Z one rapping your name,
right?
And two, they be on a track with Jay-Z and Beyonce at the same time. That's pretty cool.
We deem you a winner, Nick Van Exel.
Oh, I appreciate it.
And also a former San Antonio Spur, Blake.
Okay, that's awesome. You know, Nick, they get on me because I haven't yet picked a basketball team to cheer for, and I'm saying neutral.
From?
I'm from Orlando,
so
I used to be a Magic fan back in the day. But when they dismantled my team, I got very mad. When they got rid of Shaq, Penny, Nick. They got rid of all my boys, and I got mad with them. And they had nobody else that I was really interested in.
Yeah.
And haven't since.
I know he's sensitive.
Steve, name me one Magic basketball player.
Shaq left on his own, so you can't get mad at the organization for that.
But everything else got dismantled and they never brought it back. You name me one Magic basketball player.
I'll have to think about that, but Nick.
See what I'm saying?
Nick, Turkaloo was the last dude, and then I was like, oh,
Nick,
man,
I cannot name me one Magic basketball player right now.
I can't do it, Nick. I can't do it.
They have some good young talent. It's just they have to try to keep it. That's the thing because Vucevic is a pretty good player. Tobias Harris is a pretty good player. The thing is, they just got to get those guys re-signed to multi-year deals after their first contracts. And if they can do that, they got a pretty good young nucleus. They just got to find a way to keep those guys.
But why can't they bring in a key market player, a market key player to come into Orlando to
You had
solidify.
Dwight Howard and he's crying.
Well, the thing is now is like the marquee players are either going to teams that are already established that are good or better markets as far as like Chicago, New York, Miami, LA. So it makes it tough for teams like Milwaukee, Utah to get those top free agents. And the only way you can do that is to build your team that way is either through trades or get good draft picks.
We're talking with former NBA All-Star Nick Van Exel here on Laying Down the Law. You look like you had another question, Blake, but I want to ask Nick. You said Shaq left on his own out of Orlando. Now, LeBron James left on his own out of Miami. However, I'm a little salty because if I'm D-Wade and I had the $40 million on the 2 years left that I could have just not opted out of, you kind of messed up my money, even though you left and got the 42-1 in Cleveland. I feel a little salty about that. Blake says, hey, even if he just makes $10 million instead of 20, that's $10 million more than most folks make. I'm still a little bit leery and wary about what happened. Now, I just want your take on it.
Well, I'm quite sure that D-Wade would probably be a lifer with the Miami Heat,
right.
And he can afford to do that. And if it helps the team to go out and get another free agent here or there to help them be better, then I'm sure D-Wade is all for that. You know, of course, losing LeBron is going to be a big blow, but if you can take less money like Tim Duncan did to bring in some other guys, like Dirk just did to bring in other guys, you know, those lifers, you know, they can afford to do that. They're always going to be a part of that community, a part of that organization. And I'm sure they'll get some love on the back end.
Okay,
fair
definitely. Enough. You know, it just was like, wow, if you're going to leave, just let me keep what I have. I don't have to go renegotiate. But again, we called it a business transaction.
Yes.
Nothing personal. And
D-Wade is never leaving Miami.
Right.
He's never leaving Miami. I mean, he has 3 championships. Why would he go anyplace else?
Yeah, I mean, he has that city pretty much on lock. He was there basically when they were struggling, and he helped them get to those 3 chips. And you know, a guy like that who's a great guy off the court as well, you know, he's always going to be beloved in that city.
Absolutely. Nick, what about the moves that are being made around the NBA? Clearly, Cleveland, I mean, when the odds makers take you from 100-1 to 4-1, they know something. And that's just it. And, you know, with Kyrie Irving and, you know, the new Tristan Thompson, I mean, there's a lot of talent. It's young, and they have to come to. How did you find when you had the opportunity to play with different teams in your 13-year NBA career, how long it took for y'all to really kind of gel and say, okay, this can be a playoff team?
I can tell you one thing. It's not no overnight process. I'm guessing here, and I'm going to say one team that I can really think of off the top of my head that when they put a team together, you know, they went to the finals and won was that Detroit team when they beat the Lakers, because I think Rasheed came over during mid-season, and they actually won it. I remember when Shaq came to the Lakers, I think it was my 4th year. You know, we were very talented, very stacked, but very young. And we just couldn't beat that veteran team in Utah. And same thing when they put those guys together in L.A. again with Gary Payton and Karl Malone, you know, and they ran into Detroit. The thing is, you guys have to be able to mesh together on and off the court. It doesn't happen just on the court. You guys have to have some kind of relationship. You know, when I went to Dallas, my first year I was in Dallas, I struggled because I was in the middle of trying to fit in and trying to play my game. And even when I'd see players now when they make changes and they go to a new team right away, that's the difficulty, because if you're a good player, you still know you're a good player, but you don't want to come in and mess up something that's good. And I saw that with Evan Turner this year. When he went to Indiana was already established, and he really didn't know how to assert himself into that offense or into that system, but he still has that same game. He's still a good player. So
isn't that the coach's job, Nick?
It's the coach's job, no doubt about it, but still, as a player, you're always thinking, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to be the guy that messes up because I'm the new guy on the block. And I can remember clear as day going to Dallas, and Nelly told me, like, just shoot. All I want you to do is score. I just want you to, every time you come in the game, I want you to score. I want you to score. So he gave me that freedom, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't want to step on Steve Nash's toes. I don't want to step on Dirk's toes. I don't want to step on Michael Finley's toes. So I was kind of a little hesitant to play my game. But the coach, he gave me that ability and that freedom to do it. It's just, you just don't want to go out there and be the one that's messing that team up. And that's how a lot of guys feel going into a new situation. You just got to be really, really comfortable
Do you think LeBron will feel that way going to Cleveland?
LeBron is going to own Cleveland again.
You heard it right here.
I think those guys may be a little intimidated by him, because LeBron he's the best player in basketball. There's no doubt about that. And he's going to go there and some of those things that some of those guys was doing before he got there, with maybe it's the immaturity level, not really knowing how to prepare for a game, not knowing how to get your body right as far as an 82-game season. He's going to change all of that. He's going to change all of that mental, part of the basketball game for those guys, because when you're not winning and you're not going to the playoffs, it's a whole different animal in the way you treat a season. When you go to the playoffs, and your whole game has to change, everything, and They haven't been through that yet. So he's going to go there and he's going to change a lot of things, and I'm happy for LeBron. I'm happy for Ohio, because I think he's going to come back and he's going to do some special things. But I think Kyrie Irving will benefit the most from this.
We are talking with former NBA All-Star Nick Van Exel. And, Nick, it was really a pleasure to meet you, and I wanted you to have an opportunity. I figured there may have been some crossover with Jeff Blake in Cincinnati. And are you still coaching? Are you going to continue along in your coaching career in the NBA?
Yeah, what are you doing now?
Well, with the Milwaukee situation, they let the coaches go. So I'm in the process of just trying to see where I can land. These jobs fill up kind of quick, but I'm going to stay around the game. I'm in the Dallas area, so I'm going to try to work with either try to get on with the D-League team if I can, if I'm still around. But, I'm in the process of trying to hire an agent right now, a coaching agent, just to see if there are any openings out there. But, I'm still going to be trying to get in the game and stay in the game, because I just love the game so much. So it's what I do. So
well, we always appreciated your game on the court, and in the music, we always combine sports and music. We know what's on your iPod, what was on your Walkman back in the day, getting you jazzed up before a game. What's one of the favorite songs you like to listen to before you took the court?
It's funny. I tell people my favorite rap album of all time was Snoop Dogg's, his first album.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one.
I used to rock that thing every game on the way to the Great Western Forum, and I used to be so pumped up. I get out and be skipping down the hallway. I mean, that was my thing. And then Eric B. and Rakim, I used to play Move the Crowd a lot too.
Okay,
that's cool.
We like some Eric B. I like one of my favorite rap lines of all time. Nick Van Exel, you scream, I'm lazy. You must be crazy. Thought I was a donut. You tried to glaze me. That is just, for what he said, and he was all over the place. It was great. I also got the opportunity to know that you enjoy playing golf. And Jeff and I and Ryan, we'd love to host you at Terra Vista. Come down. I know you're talking about Barton Creek in the Central Texas area. Well, we have a heck of a golf course.
Yeah, especially
at
if you're
Terra
in
Vista.
Dallas. Especially if you're up in Dallas, you can get down here real easy.
Yeah, and let's see what we can see out there on the links. British Open coming up. Tiger Woods coming back. Pretty excited about that next week as well. Jeff, go ahead.
I got one quick question for you, Nick. This is back on basketball. Now that LeBron is in Cleveland, do you think Cleveland would be a contender in the East now?
Oh, they're definitely a contender in the East now. The East hasn't always been the strongest, but, Miami has just dominated it so much. Of course, Indiana's still going to be there. Chicago, if they can keep D. Rose healthy, they're going to be there. But, anywhere LeBron goes, we saw that when he went to Miami. Instant contender. He's going to Cleveland. It's going to be a little bit tougher, but they have a team that can get to either the semifinals or the Eastern Conference Finals. And once you get to that point, you never know what happens. The thing is, with those veteran teams that have been together, it'd be tougher for them to beat Chicago or Indiana if those teams are healthy.
Right, absolutely.
I think the Knicks will be strong next year.
It's going to be interesting. What do you think about Derek Fisher as a coach?
I like Fish. I played 2 years with Fish when he first came in the league. Fish is a good guy. I think he's going to get the most out of his players. If they're going to run that triangle offense, I think Carmelo will really do well in that offense because, you look at Kobe and you look at MJ, they thrived in that offense. So I think Fish is going to do well. He's had Phil Jackson behind him in this corner. and I think he's going to do well. I just hope that the New York media and the New York fans, give him time and give that team a little time to gel and put together something good over there, because it's not going to be easy.
Well, listen, we certainly wish you well in your endeavors as getting continue along in the NBA as a coach and assistant. But, we certainly enjoyed your game. I always like NBA TV when they do the highlights and show the games that have already been played and what you brought to the National Basketball Association. Appreciate your time today. He is the former NBA All-Star Nick Van Exel. We're laying down the law, and we thank you again. We look forward to catching you on the golf course.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Nick Van Exel right there. We're going to go take a sidebar, come back with the shout-outs right here on Laying Down the Law.